Happy holidays from Bucko Banter. Today we discuss the re-signing of Andrew McCutchen and recap Bucko Banter's best 2024 moments. You're listening to the Bucko Banter podcast, brought to you by the Just Baseball Media Network. Cue the music.
Rockin' 101, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates. Order steak by the plate, send in case after case. Run my race at my pace, clear the grass of the snake.
Adam, welcome back and happy holidays, man. We're recording the day. It's actually the morning after Christmas. And I actually lied last episode. This is my last time recording in my current apartment. So
we didn't expect to record today. I think we thought it would be too much. There's too many things going on. I'm in Rochester right now. You were up in Newcastle with your family. It was a long day yesterday.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I don't do Christmas that often, as you may have learned through socials or on this show, but yesterday was like my first full all the way in it Christmas, and it was a ton of fun. Exhausting, dude. I was ready to go to bed by 8 o'clock.
I also, you got to witness your first Italian American Christmas. Like you had the seven fishes and how was that? Did you enjoy the seven fishes on Christmas Eve? Like that's the real Christmas for Italians is Christmas Eve.
Right. My only experience with seven fishes is from the show The Bear, where they're doing the whole hectic scene that stresses everybody out. It was awesome. I loved it, man. There was a ton of great food. It was more great. It wasn't we had dinner, we sat down, but it was grazing of all of the fishes and the appetizers and charcuterie and drinks and wine was flowing and games were played. So all together, really fun night. But between that and then waking up and then doing Christmas all day, I'm tired. And we got a second Christmas today as well. Apparently we're doing more gifts, more dinner, more food throughout the day, just a lot of family time. So it's good. It's really fun. I'm tired.
And then you head to Florida at the end of this week, right?
Yeah. Going down to see my mom in Boca Raton. So it's 15 degrees here in Rochester.
It's going to change quickly.
Everything's covered in snow. I don't know how Pittsburgh is right now.
It's not too bad. 40s.
Couple of days. Oh, yeah. Beautiful, dude. That's sunshine weather.
Yeah.
No, it's like a foot of snow out here. Everywhere you go, everything's covered in snow, which gives it that holiday Christmas feel, right? Sure. But it's cold. It's really cold, and South Florida is 80 degrees right now. So I am pumped to get down the.
Let me ask you this: is it colder than that time we went to Cleveland? Because we both said to each other, we went to a bachelor trip in Cleveland. It was the coldest that we have ever been in our entire lives.
It was not colder than Cleveland. You already know how I feel about Cleveland. I don't like Cleveland. I'm not just trying to be the stereotypical Pittsburgher that hates on Ohio and Cleveland. I've been to Columbus. Columbus is fine.
Yeah.
I like Columbus. It's not
Cleveland's
bad.
objectively bad.
Cleveland's objectively bad. We went there for a friend's bachelor party. The bachelor party was fun. That was a good time. We went to the NBA All-Star game. We had fun just walking around to different bars. It was negative 150 degrees outside.
Yeah, it was.
I just remember being intoxicated for this bachelor party, and then having
nothing was going to warm you up there.
Oh my God, no! Nothing was going to warm us up. I remember two things from that trip. I remember having to pee really badly, and then going off to a side street, and remembering that my pee was gonna freeze. I'm not even kidding. I thought that was it. And then the second thing I remember was me and you calling it quits early and heading back home, and then lying to an Uber driver that we were professional baseball players.
That was fun.
That was good because she had a kid that wanted to play. So we thought we'd give her some insight on.
We kept that shtick up for 30 minutes. That was unbelievable.
We were in traffic for a while. So the good thing about lying to an Uber driver is they can't Google anything immediately.
Yeah.
Just because they're driving. Right. It's dangerous and frowned upon. So you could say whatever you want to an Uber driver for the time that you're in the car, and it's true in their mind, maybe forever. So
I could have told her I was actually Scott Moore from the 2002 draft that was at the 9th overall pick or 8th overall pick. So she could have Googled me if she wanted and risked our lives, but it is what it is.
It's kind of like hey, you can Google it. Like I'm telling you the truth. And then it's kind of that reverse psychology. Like, well, I'm not going to Google it then if they're telling me to Google it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It must be true. Why would they tell me to Google it? Well, listen, not much baseball news, right? Try to take some time off for the holidays. We do have some exciting news coming up in terms of Bucko banter, but the Pirates had a little bit of a holiday gift for us in the re-signing of Andrew McCutchen for 1 year, $5 million. This was as predictable as it gets, right? I'm sure you can go back on at least 6 different Bucko banter episodes and listen to us say he's probably going to sign a deal for 1 year, $5 million. And guess what? The year before that, what did he do, Scott?
1 year, $5 million.
So I bring that up because there was a little bit of a stir on Twitter this week, just a little bit. I'll just say the names. Cody Duncan reported 2 or 3 days before the actual deal was signed. Source tells him Andrew McCutchen signed a deal for 1 year, $5 million. That was immediately met with nope from Alex and our good friend Noah Hiles. We're friends with Alex Stumpf too. We respect their work. They're great. Their sources told them while a deal is imminent, it is not done.
Yeah.
Right. Which, again, they didn't need sources to tell you that because everybody on the face of this planet knew he was going to sign a deal for 1 year, $5 million. So that led to a lot of back and forth, a lot of name calling. And I get it from Noah and I get it from Alex and I get it from Destin. I understand why, because that's like somebody walking into your job, guessing, and then happening to be like in the ballpark or right. And then saying like, oh, like I do this. I know how to do your job. I'm a journalist. You're not. You don't have the sources that they have. I'm going to back them 100% because I know who their sources are. And if I told you who their source is on this specific issue, you'd be like, oh, there was no deal in place until there was. So listen to Cody Duncan, or as you should, you should listen to the actual guys that covered the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what they were saying, they weren't saying that it wasn't going to happen. They were just saying like, yeah, a deal has not been met yet. It's imminent.
Right.
And it's not a rocket scientist it doesn't take a rocket scientist to predict that Kutch was coming back for 1 year, $5 million, but it just hadn't been done yet. And I don't know. I'm not really like I have no interest in breaking news or being in that world. That's their job. That's Alex and Noah's job. And they do and Destin, and they do a really, really good job at it. I just didn't really get like the backlash to them on social media. It was just a little bit insane to me because, that what they were saying was the deal wasn't met yet officially, and they weren't lying. That was the truth. So I think the real credit should go to Bucko Mike, because I think Bucko Mike had before everybody. Just gonna put that.
He always does. He always does. And listen, that's journalism, though. Like if you want to have journalistic integrity, like you need to be 100% accurate with your sources and what's happening. It's not, hey, somebody from the organization, some like low-level scout or it could even be somebody that's highly connected told me that this is going to happen. That's still not reporting. That's just hearsay. That's rumors until it happens, until you can. These guys aren't just asking one person, hey, did the deal happen? It's, okay, did the deal happen? Confirming that, getting multiple sources, then reporting it, because then that's accurate news. Other than, I hate to say it, I don't want to be this guy, but like fake news, putting just stuff out in the universe and hoping it sticks, right? Or just getting the masses to believe you. And then when it inevitably happens, take all the credit for it.
Yeah. I mean, what does the credit do for you? Like what like how does that, I don't know. improve your role in Pirates community. Like, congrats, you guessed something that my grandmother could have predicted.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna put this out too. Like, we're not here trying to shit on Cody Duncan necessarily. Like, we don't know him personally, but we're gonna leave that job to the beat reporters. That's they've worked hard. They've worked from the bottom to get to where they are now, and to have the resources that they have and the knowledge that they have. I mean, that's their job. So,
right.
We'll leave it at that. I don't know. It was just a weird moment, and then Pirates Twitter, going at it on the during the off season, and over something that was so minuscule and predictable.
Yeah, no, I agree. Let's leave it at that, and let's focus on what's happening right now, which is Andrew McCutchen will be in a Pirates uniform for 2025. Not a surprise, as you might have guessed just from that entire conversation that we had. Andrew McCutchen was not the problem last year. Was he an all-star player? No. Was he above, was he a positive WAR player? Barely. At 0.8. He had 448 at-bats, 104 hits, 20 bombs, which is the number that you want to focus on, and a 232 batting average. And he played a significant role in stepping into that leadoff spot for a majority of the year when we really couldn't find that guy. His eye at the plate is as advanced as you will ever see at the major league level, almost to a fault, where like he knows his zone too well.
Just ask Bernardo.
Yeah. It's exciting to have him back. I think we all admire what Andrew McCutchen has done for this organization. But then the question comes in from a lot of people, okay, he's back. What role does he actually play for this club getting better for 2025, right? Because we had the same record that we had in the year past when he made his return, and then the exact same in 2024. So 2025 comes around. Andrew McCutchen is back. Spencer Horwitz is here. There's a couple of other pieces missing, some moves to be made. Did this team, Scott, get better by re-signing Andrew McCutchen?
No, because he was always going to re-sign. Like,
right.
That's my viewpoint on it. And I've said it before. I've been pretty vocal about it. Like, I wouldn't have brought him back. I know he's one of Nutting's favorite guys, and he puts people in the seats because people love him here in Pittsburgh. But I'm thinking of the Pirates having a flexible roster and not just one guy who's stuck at the DH position who can't play the field. And I will say this too, like you said too, he was not the problem last year. Like, he was not a problem. He had like a 730 some OPS. Like, he was fine. He was a great leadoff hitter. And, he provided a little bit of power that this lineup desperately needed. But also, I think, there were other routes that you could have gone, and this team really hasn't improved. If I were to give this offseason a grade as of right now, I would say like a D-. I think I don't want to be that guy, but I think I would say, and I know there's a couple more months left until they report to spring training, but it's been a colossal failure to this point.
Would you have said that the same time last year if they made the same moves?
I mean, I think at this point last year, didn't they have Martin and Rowdy and Edward Olivares? Like they added more pieces from the outside, not necessarily big pieces, but they added. Like, it just doesn't seem like they're really, doing much at all right now.
I guess my point is, last year you mentioned they added Martin, they added Ollie, they added Marco, they added Rowdy. But those are basically the pieces that they've added now, right? And Emmanuel Valdez, Elvis Alvarado, like replacement guys, right? So my point I'm trying to make is, you have a team to do it. Like, you have key pieces to do it. So I think the expectation is higher instead of just staying with the norm.
Well, that's so that's why I would say it's a colossal failure, because they should be. And I actually think last year's moves, while you can call them replacement level, were bigger signings than this year's move so far, outside of the Spencer Horwitz trade. Like Emmanuel Valdez is a quad A player. Like he's not a major league infielder, right? Elvis Alvarado does not have an MLB in it. Marco Gonzalez has been in a major league rotation for a few years now. So is Martin Perez. He's been around. Rowdy Tellez has a lot of MLB service time. Right now, these are like moves that you make when you are trying to hit on upside during a rebuild. Like this isn't like win now moves. So yeah, that's like last year, like those moves seemed a little bit, while insignificant, bigger, given where I thought the team, how they were going to be during the 2024 season. But this year, it's like, we need to win. They should be signing a Tyler O'Neill. They should be signing major league level guys, not an Elvis Alvarado, not Emmanuel Valdez. Even though I know we're probably overreacting to Emmanuel Valdez. He'll probably be the AAA second baseman for most of 2025. But still, like, those are the moves they've made as of December 26, 2024.
So total, they've spent $5 million in reality.
Yeah.
And Andrew McCutchen.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're not spending anything on Elvis Alvarado. Like Spencer Horwitz is under control till 2031. Like these guys are all pre-art.
Yeah, and they're all making what, $750K a year
minimum.
Yeah. That's a problem. That's an issue. And I know people are very mad at Ben Cherington. People are obviously mad at Nutting, which, listen, this is, get used to it, buddy. Like, this is what's going to happen as long as this front office is in control. They're going to work within the parameters that they're given. But I think you could still do more. There's like a fine line between like, hey, this is the money that you could spend, and then this is how you're spending it, right? Because you could still spend that money in ways that are going to improve this team, that push the needle in the right direction, or you could spend that money on replacement level guys in the aggregate, right? Where you're going out and you're casting a net and pulling in 10 quad A bats, and you're going to say, hey, you're going to send Indianapolis for the whole year, and then once Jack Sawinski doesn't work out again, we're going to give you a chance.
I think there's a better way. Like I get they have to operate in the parameters at which they are given, but so does Cleveland, so does Tampa, so does Sacramento. Like these teams are doing a lot better and spending more than the Pirates and developing better and pretty much doing everything better. I like it. This is where, and we've said this before on previous offseason episodes, this is where they need to get creative, and they're just not like creative enough. Ben's famous line is, you have to be comfortable saying no. Sometimes I think he's too comfortable saying no. Like he does not want to take any chances. And now's not the time to be conservative when you have a Paul Skeens on the roster for a limited time, which we've said over and over again. But
his big chance, I mean, Horwitz is his biggest trade.
Yeah. And he overpaid.
I mean, that's the big, and that's the biggest roll of the dice he had. I mean, you talk, if you really look into it, in the hitters that he's acquired, it's almost all bad.
Really bad.
Outside of Joey Bart, which was, again, another like, hey, let's see what this guy has left in the tank before he calls it a career, because it just was trending in that direction where he just wasn't getting a shot. And then he had to step in the shoes of Buster Posey, and it didn't work out in San Francisco. And now he's been able to resurrect the career here in Pittsburgh. Hopefully that success lasts for an extended period of time. But outside of that, man, we're talking like the Josh Van Meters of the world that he's brought in, the Brian De La Cruzes of the world who strike out a ton. IKF might be at the top of the list of quality bats that he's brought in, which is something IKF has never been known for until the first half of 2024 when he had a good season. It's at that point, do you point to it being cheap, which in a vacuum, yes, right? It is, everything is cheap. Or do you point to it just in scouting and evaluation?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both, because look at it this way. They overpaid for Spencer Horwitz due to just for financial flexibility. Like they overpay just so they didn't have to pay somebody. Okay. And then you have the Nationals, you have other teams that are acquiring first baseman for much less, but those guys are worth, Nathaniel Lowe is going to be worth $10.7 million. When you're an organization that is failing at developing prospects, I don't think you can afford to overpay for financial flexibility. You know what I'm saying? This is where they're going to get themselves in this endless loop of chaos, because you're going to trade one of your only performing bats in the lower levels for IKF. You're going to trade 3 promising arms for a bat that's relatively unproven at the major league level. At this point, I think it's more cost efficient to pay the $10.7 million for a proven commodity rather than try to take a chance and overpay just for financial flexibility.
I like that. And it's funny that we're saying he overpaid in order to have financial flexibility, right? And I'm almost hesitant to use the word flexibility at this point, because that kind of implies that you are using that money for other things. We're not.
That's true.
We're just simply, we're not spending that money. It's like you've accrued this bank essentially, and you're just letting it sit there without doing anything. The payrolls doesn't look like it's going to increase barring a significant move. And I don't think a significant move is out there given the free agency market. And as we've discussed on the show many times, they're not going to make that move in free agency, right? Like it's going to happen via trade almost always here, because that almost guarantees that either another team is going to pick up some of the contract on a player that's coming over to Pittsburgh, or that they're just going to be little service time, many years of control, pre-arb, don't have to pay him shit, and then let's see how that works out. If it doesn't, okay, we still maintain this quote-unquote financial flexibility, meaning we kept our payroll low and we made a profit.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it's frustrating to watch this, because when you have key pieces that that could help you win right now and you're not building around them, it's a never ending cycle that is just going to keep continuing, and you're just going to waste resources. And it's the life of a Pirates fan, unfortunately.
Yeah. I was hoping Santa would bring me Ha-Seong Kim. And all I got was an Emmanuel Valdez. It's amazing. It's nuts, man. Like it's frustrating. And we do this every year, but it is different. It is different when you have controllable pieces for the next, 4 to 5 years that are going to help this team inevitably succeed. Like it's going to happen. These are going to be very positive or guys that are going to contribute, but it's a matter of who you surround them with. And I think that's been a key theme, right? Like we need homegrown guys. They stressed that when they gave Mitch Keller the extension, right? That was almost a majority of the press conference was, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to reward guys that we build here in-house. But that only goes so far, because guess what? You cannot build a whole major league roster with guys that you build in-house. You were just simply not built that way. And nobody does that. Not a single team in the league has an entire roster of guys that they have just developed. It does not work that way. You need compliments to those guys. And that's where you spend your money. And until they get that through their thick skulls, it's just not gonna happen. And I know I'm saying that, I'm joking, because I obviously know that they have a business plan, and then this is how they're doing things, and it's not like an ignorance problem. But I need to vent a little bit, It's the holidays. I need something.
I get it. And I think what you're saying resonates with a lot of Pirates fans. And I think Pirates fans have a right to be very angry with this team or with this front office, because this was supposed to be an aggressive off season, and there's still some left, but like the time is ticking a little bit. So hopefully this is after the new year, it starts to pick up. But I'm not optimistic as of right now. But let's turn to something more positive, Adam. We've had a big year. We're almost reaching a year of Bucco Banner here. I think around February we'll get there. But first season I thought went really well, and we wanted to highlight some of our best moments of the podcast of the Pirates season here on today's episode. And I'll just get us started real quick. We opened this in February of 2024. Just being two guys that went to PNC a lot, went to a lot of games. We're like, let's start recording ourselves. And we saw an area where we could bring, a lot of fan interaction online and try to drive excitement about this team because we're at the ballpark a lot. And, do it in a comedic way, because it isn't fun being a Pirates fan, but, I think there is ways to drive excitement about the team and about the beautiful ballpark that we have. So I thought, we went down to spring training last year and we were kind of nervous at first. It was definitely uncomfortable, but we got to meet a lot of good people. And I mean, we scored a huge interview within like maybe 2 months of having the podcast. We had Roberto Clemente Jr. on, which was massive. And he told some really awesome stories about his father that I had never heard before. One specifically being around his healing powers. Like people would go over to their house in Puerto Rico and he would heal them. I mean, it was just an unbelievable story amongst many others that he told. I don't know, man. For me, that's where I started to get like even more excited about what we could do and who we could, bring into the Pirates community.
That was huge. Like you said, it was only a couple of months in. We had no credibility, barely any listeners at that point. We were just kind of there. We were around and we're just shooting our shot with anybody. And we shot our shot with him probably 10 times. Like we were just kind of constantly in the DMs, which we always are. We're trying, if those DMs are open, we're trying to get you on.
We're in them
podcast, right? Yeah, we're in them. We're sliding in. For me, man, like that definitely kicked us off. That was our biggest one. Clint Hurdle was unreal. Just to think, like in our lifetime, we have seen 4 winning seasons of baseball. Yeah. All of those were Clint, right? Yeah. Outside, like at least that we can remember. I just remember obsessing over like how he would run a ball club during those times and that they finally found their guy and things were working in the right direction. It's the last time I thought positively of the Pirates in a way where I knew we could get to a wild card. I knew we could win. I knew we could even potentially get to a World Series in some of those years if, one pitch went a different way or one inning went a different way. That was a hard time getting him, right? We saw that he was active on social media. We were constantly DMing him and it just wasn't working out. And then one day he said, "Hey, can you do it tomorrow?"
Well, absolutely.
Yeah. And then we dropped everything that we had and we prepped for the rest of the day. And hearing him with the baseball, there's very, very few human beings that have walked the earth that have the pedigree that Clint Hurdle has. He has been in a major league uniform for most of his life. From being a top pick, Sports Illustrated, major league career, minor league coaching, working his way up to coach or to manage major league baseball teams and then staying in a role in a big league club till this day is unbelievable. And that comes with a ton of fantastic stories that we heard on that podcast. So if you haven't heard it, go back and listen. He gives some Pittsburgh favorites, some really cool stories about AJ Burnett, Travis Snyder, who we had on the pod, who is also a great get for us. But really with me, man, I think that kicked things off because not only was like Clemente Jr. related to the Pirates in more ways than one, but Clint Hurdle was like the guy. And to have him on the show and have him talking to us and just like knowing our names and like we've maintained a connection with him till today,
Yeah.
Like we've DM'd him, we've talked to him. He's been very kind to us. He follows us. That's super special. Like that, I can't get over how cool that is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think Clint interview was one of my favorites for sure, because he was such a cool guy and really opened up and shared a lot of his experiences with us and was very kind to us. And he's still, like you said, remain keeping a connection with us till this day. And big fan of Clint Hurdle. I grew up watching Derek Jeter, man, because there was like nothing to watch, like baseball. Like I would go to PNC Park like all the time because I grew up here, and I would go to so many Pirate games, but there was not a team to root for, like like nothing to get excited about. So like I would, my first year of college was the first year that they had a winning season, and Clinton brought that excitement back to Pittsburgh, and he should have a statue outside of PNC Park. Like that's the type of impact that he's had on this city baseball wise. But I also want to talk about, midsummer, we got started a connection with Jack McMullen, and with Just Baseball. He was the AAA broadcaster for the Indianapolis Indians too. And we talked draft with him, and then we maintained that connection. We ended up, signing a deal with Just Baseball Media to be a part of their network. And that has been huge for us. To get that, like with 6 months into starting the podcast, was a big step for us, and a very, very quick step, so we've been very, thankful for all the resources they've provided us, the way they've helped us, Jack and Aram and Peter. They're great, and looking forward to doing big things with them in 2025 as well.
It's funny because when we first started this and we were going through a prospects episode, maybe 1 or 2 weeks into starting Bucko Banter, we referred to Just Baseball's prospect list in order to study for that episode. And then you fast forward 5-6 months and we're on their network, which I didn't even think was possible. Like I didn't even know anything about the podcast world. I had no idea how this was going to go. I remember Jack asking us like, hey, like who are you guys through? Like, what do you do? I'm like, we're just 2 guys that
we're solo.
Yeah. We hit the record button on Zoom, and then we just talk, and then we upload it. And to look around us now and have the resources that we have with Jack, like you mentioned, Jack, Arm, and Peter, who have been fantastic to us in the Just Baseball community, it's been a game changer, and it's allowed us to bring better content more consistently. And I think it has challenged us to get better as well, in order to keep this thing moving in the right direction. So Just Baseball has been massive for us. And again, shout out Jack. Also, Jack just got engaged. So congrats to him and Isabel. But man, there's been a lot. Just to run through it real quick, we wanted to keep today a little bit shorter. Steve Blass, Greg Brown, Nikki G, obviously a big one. And he gave us a lot of trust. As I mentioned, Travis Snyder, Christian Curtis, Jack Sorenzik, and then Joe Doyle, a big draft guy, jumped on the show. And then we can't forget Noah and Destin and Stump. I want to give them all a special shout out for being some of the best beat writers in all of baseball, but also trusting us with their information and coming on our show to talk about their work and what they're hearing. That's been really special because, one, not every podcast is able to get beat writers on consistently. And even if they do, I don't think as many are as talented as we have in Noah and Destin and Stump. And until people start realizing that, they're going to start appreciating the work that they do a little bit more, because we truly do have some of the best guys in the game. And Noah has been not only a key part of our show, but has become a very good friend of ours. So, shout out Noah, Destin, and Stump for making all the appearances that they have and doing the work that they have done in their short careers, which will, be incredibly long and successful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Special shout out to those guys, because they've really helped us too. Just having the trust in us and also like building great friendships with all 3 of them. They've really helped us grow and motivated us, throughout the season. So it's been a great year, man. It's been a great year. Like you said, we had Nikki G, Christian Curse, we had players on, we had some coaches, we had some former
Jordan
Comedina, former baseball personalities. It was a really fun year, and we have a lot of fun ideas for 2025. We're going to spring training with Sachs. We're probably going to preview every team before the season. It's a lot of fun stuff coming down the pipeline, and 2024 was big for us. I'm expecting a much bigger 2025.
I'm excited, man.
Yeah,
I'm really excited. Just Friday and Saturday nights, the ballpark does not get any better. I got to get another good pair of shoes, man, because we do a lot of standing, and my knees hurt most of the time. And maybe another pair of Hokas is in my future, man. I got to treat myself, but I cannot wait until we're at the ballpark 4 times a week, man. That's the best.
Same.
It really is. Same. Well, it's coming up soon. I hope you had a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. I hope you had some quality time with your family and loved ones. Make sure you listen to the episode on whatever streaming platform you choose. Give it a 5-star review. That means a ton to us. Download the episode. And if you want to watch us, go to YouTube, subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, share it. That means the world. Go support us. Buy some Bucko Banter merch at buckobanter.com. And then follow us on all social medias. We're still doing card giveaways. Look out for that. We just gave away a sick Jared Jones draft card. We have some really good ones coming up soon. And then obviously some more episodes in your future and some more exciting news coming your way. So love you guys. Happy holidays and raise it.
Raise it.
Rockin' 101, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates, or the steak by the plates.